I have been a nurse for 23 years. I have been a school nurse for the last 12 years. Peppermint Patty is my nickname. You can cure many things with a peppermint. Over the last 12 years, I've had the pleasure of watching lots of my students grow up, graduate from high school, and go out into the world. I've also had the sorrow of attending the funeral of one of my students. A peppermint couldn't fix him. In the past year, 3 people I know have died from drug and alcohol-related deaths. No one noticed when they stopped breathing. The CDC estimates that there are 75,000 alcohol-related deaths every year. And the National Institute of Health reports that 40% of college students have admitted to binge drinking at least once in the past 2 weeks. In memory of Austin, I'd like to show you some ways that can keep you safe and that may help you save a life. You can stay with your friend, you can learn how to position them correctly, and you can call 911 if it turns into an emergency. So, you go to a party and you're with a friend, and someone gives her a bottle of rum and challenges her to drink it down in a half hour. And this represents her stomach, and the plastic bag represents her lungs. What alcohol does is it suppresses your gag reflex, which is responsible for helping you vomit. When your gag reflex is activated, you vomit out of your mouth. But what alcohol does, it suppresses that gag reflex, and it's like taking the brakes off. So you go to a party, and you just decide to let your friend sleep it off. Alcohol controls your heart rate, your breathing, and your gag reflex. Too much stops all these functions. You can consume a fatal dose of alcohol before you even pass out. If you combine alcohol with drugs, either over-the-counter or prescription drugs, it can take a much smaller amount of alcohol and kill you. Alcohol can also cause a really low blood sugar, which can lead to seizures and which can lead to death. So what can you do? You can have a plan. You can talk to a responsible adult or your parent and come up with a plan that states that if you get in trouble, you will call your parent and that you will, they'll agree to come rescue you with no questions asked. You can talk about it later. You can look for the signs that someone has consumed too much alcohol if you're at a party. We've all seen the characters on TV with the slurred speech and the blurry vision, glazed eyes, dilated pupils. If you see someone who's laying it down, attempting to sleep it off, you can check to see if you can wake them. Stephanie, go away. She's responsive. I'm going to help her. Stephanie, I'm going to put you in a position so you're not going to choke. Now I want you to think about the drama queen position. I'm going to put her hand at a 90-degree angle by her head and bring this hand over the side. I'm going to bring up her leg, and I'm going to roll her gently on her side. Now I'm going to repeat this from the other direction. Hand at a 90-degree angle and across her chest. I'm going to roll her gently on her side. Her hand will act as your pillow, and this hand will come around under her face. I'm going to tilt her head back and make sure that her knee is bent. In this position, she's less likely to choke on her own vomit. Now I position somebody in this position with blankets or sleeping bags or their coats behind them so they could maintain this position. Thank you. You need to continue to check them often to make sure that you can wake them up. Signs that things are getting worse and that you may encounter an emergency situation include confusion, cold, clammy, blue or pale skin, slow breathing, and that would be less than 8 breaths a minute or more than 10 seconds between each breath. You can't wake them up as I did by shaking, shouting, or even pinching them. They have a seizure or they vomit without waking up. If you vomit while you're unconscious, you would inhale your own vomit and you could suffocate or drown. Let's check and see how our friend's doing that is sleeping it off. As you can see, while she's lying there, the material continues to enter her lungs. Because her gag reflex is suppressed, she no longer has the ability to vomit. Don't give someone black coffee or try to feed them food to sober them up. That'll increase the chance that they vomit. Don't allow them to drive anything, not even a bicycle. Don't give them a cold shower. That can trigger seizures. Don't assume that your friend is just sleeping it off. This is my friend Austin. This was taken September 21st, 2007 at homecoming. Exactly 1 year later, at a party, Austin was gone. Don't let the light go out on someone you love. Plan, position them correctly, and call 911, and don't leave them alone.